The invasion wasn't contained. It followed him home. Cities are now ash, the sky choked with smoke, and the last screams of humanity echo through the crumbling streets. The demons didn't just break through, they claimed the planet. And once again, there's no cavalry, no plan, just him. The Marine who walked out of hell is forced to walk back in, alone again. This is the complete story of Doom 2, Hell on Earth. A brutal return to a world already dead, where salvation lies behind enemy lines, and the only way out is through fire. For years, the UAC had been running secret experiments with teleportation technology between the two moons of Phobos and Deimos. It started small, sent a crate from Phobos to Deimos, but things got messy very fast. Test subjects began returning insane, mutated, or just exploded. Then everything went to hell. Literally. Phobos sent a frantic distress signal, monsters coming out of the portals, systems going haywire. Then moments later, Deimos just vanished from orbit. Doomguy's squad, the only armed unit within 50 million miles, was then sent to investigate. Doomguy stayed back to secure the perimeter, while the rest of his team entered the Phobos base, and never came back. Alone and armed with just a pistol, Doomguy entered the base, and what he found was a nightmare. The teleportation experiments had opened a gateway to hell, and the base was crawling with possessed soldiers, demons, and undead abominations. Doomguy blasted his way through Phobos, ultimately facing two monstrous barons of hell before entering a portal to Deimos, which now hovered in hell. But Doomguy tore through it, eventually reaching the city of Dis, the heart of this infernal realm. There, he faced the invasion's mastermind, the Spider Demon, a grotesque brain creature on mechanical legs, which he effortlessly squashed. After its death, a portal opened, revealing Earth, and Doomguy was finally back. After days of brutal fighting off-world, he thought he finally earned a moment of peace. He was the first to answer the call on Mars and the last to leave. He killed and kept killing until the nightmare ended. The base was saved, but he was the only one who walked away. As he stepped through the portal and returned to Earth, Doomguy quickly discovered that his home was gone. The city ahead of him burned. Smoke choked the sky. Civilians screamed and scattered through the streets. Then Doomguy saw it. Demons, undead, the forces of hell had arrived on Earth. The invasion hadn't ended. It had followed him. Hell's infection spread faster here. First, people went feral, then came the real monsters, the things from outside. And this time, it wasn't just a base on Mars, it was the whole damn planet. And perhaps worst of all, the demons slaughtered Doomguy's pet rabbit Daisy. Earth was overrun. From Tokyo to Timbuktu, Stockholm to Scranton, the demons were everywhere and billions were dead. There was a plan though, one last shot at survival. The last scientists and leaders had built massive spaceships to escape Earth and to start over somewhere out there among the stars. But there was a problem. The demons had taken the only ground spaceport and locked it down with a blazing force field. No ships could leave until it was deactivated. That's where Doomguy came in. The last remnants of Earth's military staged a final assault. Doomguy joined the charge, guns hot and teeth clenched. But soldiers fell fast. Screams echoed through the corridors. One by one, his team was picked off. And soon, it was just him. He moved through steel tunnels, the air thick with ash and blood. Somewhere ahead, he heard something growling. They knew he was here, and they wanted him dead. Doomguy had been there before. Now it was just him and them all over again. Doomguy was relentless. He carved a path through hell's spawn. Undead soldiers, shrieking abominations, and towering demons, all of them shredded by his hands, crushed beneath his boots, and reduced to bone and ash in his wake. He didn't fight for glory, he fought because there was no one else to do it. After Doomguy cleared out the spaceport and deactivated the demonic force field, the evacuation ships were finally free to leave. Overstuffed with desperate civilians, rocketing away from a dying Earth like rats from a sinking ship. Their escape was not earned by politics, prayers, or diplomacy. It was bought in gore, paid for by the silence of a man who never stopped killing. And as the smoke curled around the ruins and the last echoes of humanity vanished into orbit, Doomguy stood alone, bloodied and unbroken. He carved a path through hell itself, bought humanity's escape with bullets and rage, and now he stood alone. No backup, no rescue, just the ghosts of the dead and the stench of burning flesh around him. Earth was nothing but ash and echoes now. Cannibal mutants roamed the husks of cities, demons squatted in churches and schools, evil incarnate had claimed the planet, and Doomguy just waited for the end, content his job was done. Then the message came. Earth Control, broadcasting from the refugee fleet beyond the stars. They told Doomguy that they found the source of the invasion, and it was coming from, surprisingly, Doomguy's own home city. They said if he reaches that point, then he could close the gate to hell and end the invasion. Hearing this, Doomguy didn't hesitate. His bones ached, wounds screamed, but he moved with purpose. He loaded up, checked his gear, and marched back into the war zone. No rest, no peace, just more demons that needed killing. The city was a shell of its former self. Its streets buckled, buildings torn open like carcasses. The heart of the city was nothing but rot. And there, buried deep beneath the concrete, pulsed the entryway. Doomguy fought his way through the slaughter, knee-deep in corpses, only to find the portal still open and infecting the earth. There was no way to destroy it from the outside, so he just dove in. If the only way to save Earth was to go through hell again, then Doomguy was fine with that. Hell was familiar, and hell bled easily. The descent was brutal. Each level of hell tore at him with sharper claws, louder screams, and thicker walls of flesh. The deeper he went, the more warped and unnatural the realm became. Architecture built from bone and muscle, corridors pulsing like arteries, air reeking of sulfur and rot. The demons had learned. They came faster now, in greater numbers, desperate to stop him. They threw everything at him. Barons, Hell Knights, cybernetic monstrosities stitched together in blasphemous labs. But none of it mattered. He kept moving forward, fueled by rage, memory, and something colder, purpose. This wasn't vengeance. This was extermination. At the heart of this inferno, past rivers of blood and mountains of corpses, it waited. The largest demon Doomguy had ever faced, the icon of sin. It was a nightmare given form, a grotesque fusion of mangled flesh and rusted metal crowned with a horned goat-like skull. It spoke in a strange satanic tongue, and though Doomguy didn't understand it, its presence alone was a declaration. This was the final wall between Doomguy and the end of this invasion. Doomguy raised his rocket launcher and with cold precision unleashed hell upon this monstrosity. Rocket after rocket slamming into the beast's exposed brain. Each impact caused it to howl in pain as it threw all of its demonic forces at Doomguy. Yet, it failed. With one final agonizing roar, the last rocket found its way home in the beast's head, causing the icon of sin to explode. The invasion was over. Earth was saved. Hell was shattered. Doomguy stood amidst the ruins, blood-soaked and breathing heavy, staring at the smoldering crater where the demon once ruled. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He just wiped the sweat from his face and turned toward the long walk home. There was a world to rebuild now, and for once, that sounded like a fight worth having. So just like last time, Doom 2 doesn't fare much better in the story department like its predecessor, but there is still something we can analyze. And again, it's Doomguy. Doomguy isn't a character in the traditional sense. He doesn't grow or change across the narrative, and to be honest, he doesn't really need to. He's a man with an arc. He's a force. Think less hero's journey and more natural disaster. He's what happens when you piss off somebody who can't die, won't stop, and doesn't care anymore. He exists at the intersection of rage and duty. He doesn't talk. He doesn't need a reason to kill demons. He doesn't want thanks. He doesn't ask for help. And he doesn't break. He is the perfect soldier. Perfectly efficient, unflinching, and emotionally burned out, but functionally indestructible. In Doom 2, Doomguy stops being a savior and becomes a purpose-built engine of destruction. The demons escalate, evolve, adapt. He doesn't. He just gets faster, bloodier, and meaner. He watches his world burn, and perhaps worst of all, he lost his pet rabbit. And all that does is flip the switch. He doesn't grieve, he just kills. No pause, no breakdown, just reloading. He's not driven by vengeance. That implies emotional investment. Doomguy operates on a more pure, more terrifying principle. If it's evil, it dies. Doomguy isn't a character, he's a consequence. Hell opened the door, Doomguy slammed it shut, then kicked it off its hinges and burned down the house just to be sure. He doesn't represent hope, he represents certainty. If it bleeds, it dies. And if it comes from hell, it goes back there in pieces.